Hey, you guys, Lisa Alexander. I'm an executive director of Stand Up Survivor. We are take two, so come on in here. Let us know where you're tuning in from and say hey when you pop in. I have a wonderful guest for you tonight. So let me just do a little bit of housekeeping, Nick, and then we will get started. We are, me and Nick love technology. So, Nick,
Sorry,
Nick,
everyone.
it's all good. Nick is back for a second time, and I'm so excited to have him because, listen, Nick has amazing content for you guys on how you can stay safe after leaving an abusive relationship. They are doing amazing things at their organization, and I want you guys to know about what they're doing, learn some things for yourself to keep yourself safe, and those that you love and know that need this information. So we are here. Hey from Canada. Hey, you guys. Hey from Maryland. So glad you're tuning in. This is Nick, you guys, from Forever Your Overwatch Foundation. Hey, Nick.
Hi, Lisa. Thanks for having me. Sorry about that, everyone.
It's all good. We're glad you're here, Nick. It's totally forgivable. So, hey, from Illinois. So glad that you're tuning in. So, Nick and his foundation are doing amazing things. And Nick, before you tell us, well, actually tell us what you do, because I really want to know why you do it. Like, why did you start doing this? So, tell us what did you do and why you decided to do it.
So, what FYO Foundation, what Forever Your Overwatch does is um, anybody who's living in fear of violence from a specific threat, um, most of our clients are survivors of domestic violence. So when I say specific threat, I mean, a individual or individuals who've made a threat. Maybe there was a history. They're in fear for their lives. So what we do is we go to their homes and turn their homes into a safer space for them by employing different security measures. We if they need to go to a hotel, they need an overnight stay, 1 or 2 nights at a hotel. Let's just say vicious assault just took place. The abuser is has eluded police or let out on bail, which is pretty common here in New Jersey. I know your followers are from all over,
Mm-hmm.
and some states are better than others with locking up abusers, protecting those who they've abused. Here in New Jersey, there's kind of a catch and release program. So the survivors are scared. A lot of times they have kids. They're sleeping with, if they are sleeping, they're putting chairs up against doors, and um, a lot of them don't have the means for some kind of expensive, elaborate security system. So we go to their homes and we put in layers of security, is what we call it, or rings of security, whatever you want to call it, to help them feel as safe as they possibly can, so that they can get a little extra sleep. They can eat a little bit. They can just be 10% less stressed,
Wow.
um, because they need that, because they've got this other battle they're now fighting: financial, emotional, mental. You got kids, physical recovery, in many cases. Even just being aware of your surroundings. You can't do that if you're constantly on edge. No one can do that. I don't care who you are. So if we can give them a little bit of that peace of mind, they could sleep, they can be relaxed just a little bit more, then
Mm-hmm.
the other stuff might be a little bit easier for them. Because without basic security, without security, I mean, what else do you have? So we try to do that for them.
Nick, I love how you talk about the different aspects of domestic violence because there's the incident, but then there's a life outside of that. And you just touched on, even from a survivor standpoint, you just touched on so many different things that a survivor is going through that people normally don't think about. And I just really love that you recognize that. So how did you start doing this? Like why?
By mistake.
Okay.
I shouldn't use the word mistake. I wanted to volunteer, and I was just
Hmm.
sitting on the couch with my wife. A little history about me is, I get all these ideas in my head, and I don't follow through a lot. And I think my wife has really helped me, you know, uh, close that gap and be a better,
Mm.
better at doing things like that. So I give her a lot of credit, for just simply making me better.
Yay, that's awesome.
Um, she did not, I didn't do anything. I was like, well, I wasn't doing this kind of stuff before. So you're the common denominator. Um, so I wanted to volunteer. I teach the military. I train the military on security assessments and self defense, and so I thought, well, why not at a domestic violence shelter? I called it a shelter. I thought I didn't know anything about it. My family was impacted by DV. Years ago when I was younger, my mom was impacted by it. I don't remember any of it. I was too little, but I know that she was. She didn't really talk about it, and to her credit, she thought, you know, not gonna bring that up now, and um, but I know that she did. My sisters experienced it, and um,
Wow.
a long time ago, and so I figured, why not? That's help out there. So I contacted a bunch of different agencies. It was the Camden County Women's Center in New Jersey who got back to me and said, yeah, we would love to do a class and a security assessment. And when I went there to do the class, they actually eventually took them a long time to feel comfortable for me to go to the safe house and do a class. And when I did, the women there loved it, and they said, "This is all great, but my abuser's, 6'5", 300 pounds. Um, how do I, how am I going to stop that?" Um, and in the community that I'm in, the whole security and military, veteran, police, and all these guys and girls, their answer to everything is, "Oh, get a gun, learn how to hit, learn how to defend yourself," and they just think it's so simple. And that's a part of it, of course, learning how to defend yourself, but it's such a small part. And I started seeing this huge gap that, I believe everybody should do training and take self defense. Yeah. Um, but you can't rely on it. You can't 100% be dependent just on that, on your ability to fight the world. And what's better than getting into a physical altercation? Not getting into one. Um,
Yeah, that part.
so how do we prevent that? What can we do to prevent that from happening? And, so I started seeing these gaps, and I would tell them, like, oh, why can't you just get a security system? And I can't afford that. And many of them didn't even know what it was, which surprised me. What do you mean a security system? So what I did a GoFundMe and raised money, and I got an ADT system, a camera system for the safe house, and I had money left over, and I got just inexpensive do-it-yourself type items to hand out to the women exiting the safe house. And little by little, it just, like, hey, do you have any more of that stuff? I'm like, oh, well, I guess I could do another GoFundMe. Started asking people for money, and I would buy the stuff just like off Amazon at the time, and I didn't know really how to go about getting the most inexpensive equipment or anything like that, or network. I learned all of it on the fly. And so one night, one of the directors from the safe house called me. They had a client, you know, and I was so ignorant of all of this. I thought clients were people in the safe house. I didn't know there was this whole element, this outreach program that they do. And they said, hey, her ex-boyfriend said he's going to go over there and kill her sister, and her son. Now, again, I'm ignorant of
Yeah.
all of my. I'm like, oh my God, well, call the cops. That was
Yeah.
my. And like, oh, the cops know. I'm like, okay. Um, so aren't they sitting out there and waiting, with guns drawn, like, and that's not the way the world works,
It's not the way it works.
And it was, I'm not here to bash law enforcement or anything like that. It's just, for one reason or the other, they just weren't, they couldn't manpower, he made the threat. Um, I guess they tried to find him. They couldn't. So I went to the house, and this is the first time I called a couple buddies up, and a couple of the, you know, guys and girls that I worked with, some Marines, Air Force. We went, and we learned a lot since this day, but some of us showed up with like bats, and we didn't know what we were doing. I don't know. We thought we were like vigilantes or what. But we went there. We put in all different security measures. We ended up staying pretty late with her son and her sister just to make her feel safe. I was like, all right, cool, And then about a month later, they called me up again and said, hey, we got another one. This guy tried to break in. Is there something that you can do? Can you go there and, screw the windows shut or something? She doesn't know how to do any of that stuff. I'm like, okay. So that's kind of how it morphed. I'd get text messages and I needed more funds. So I started Googling how to do nonprofit stuff, so I got myself set up on, officially with the state and IRS and tax ID, and started doing fundraisers, and little by little people were donating. I found, learned how to get equipment cheaper, much cheaper, right from the,
Yeah. Yeah.
the source itself. And now I've partnered with different agencies, a lot of DV agencies, victim witness advocates for the prosecutor's office, other nonprofits. And recently we've made it where anybody can contact us for help.
Mm-hmm.
We'll
Mm-hmm.
obviously point them in other directions as well, too, not just us. But we do an assessment of each case on, but I always want someone to be able to reach us just in case something happens.
Because you guys are based in New Jersey.
Yes.
Right. But somebody outside of New Jersey can also reach out to you, and you would probably find someone for them. Because, I mean, obviously you guys can't go part of every house everywhere, but I know you'd probably try to find some assistance somehow for them.
We have, yes. We have done that. That was a good thing about being in the military. And it worked out a couple times where we had people all over the country, life threatened and all that. And I would somehow know somebody who lived like an hour away. It doesn't matter where it was, it seemed.
Yeah.
And then sometimes I would Amazon them some things.
Yeah.
And do a virtual safety plan.
Well, I've never heard of a virtual. Well, yeah, I guess I haven't really officially heard of a virtual safety plan, but I guess I have now. I love that you guys are doing. You guys are doing that, Nick?
Yeah,
safety planning with them that way.
Yeah, I wish we could help more. We have to save anybody outside the state or far away. It's got to be a really extreme case. Otherwise, we'd run out of money and equipment real fast. And
yeah,
everybody's deserving of it. Just we have to try to keep the resources here for right now for the most part.
I want you guys, his Facebook page is on there. If you guys want to go over and head over to the Facebook page to kind of see some of the work that they're doing. Forever Your Overwatch, if you're in New Jersey or close by and are in need of assistance, please go see what they're doing. But Nick, so tell us a little bit about some of the tools that you recommend for someone who is leaving an abusive relationship, who has left, who is now in need of, they're afraid, they don't know what to do. What are some tools that they need within their house to keep themselves safe?
So, real quick before I get into that, I mean, there's always that, the problem. Some people think preparing and being prepared is also victim blaming. They're like, well, why, I didn't do this before, so I should have. It's absolutely not victim blaming. Not at all. I
Wisdom.
And I get the temptation for somebody who's been assaulted to start second guessing themselves, because everyone does it. Like, even somebody who gets assaulted by somebody who they don't know. Well, I should have crossed the street. Why didn't I? Or why didn't, the guy not assault you? That's who to blame. That's always who to blame, but we can always look at things that have gone wrong and talk about how to prevent that in the future. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's very healthy. It can get unhealthy. I'll talk about that here in a second. But just some real basic things to do. It depends where you are in the timeline where it happens. If you're still in an abusive situation and you know that you need to get out, it's going to go bad for you. You obviously need to start making a plan. Everybody knows about the go bags that gets thrown around a lot, and that's good. It's great advice. Important documents, passports, things like that. But could you get a separate phone?
Right.
Could you get another phone? Is he tracking your phone? If you're going to make a safety plan, if you're going to make an exit strategy, your phone's a big part of that. If he has access to it, think how important that is. Your phone is everything. We know that, but we don't know that. If somebody who's a threat to you has access to your phone, whether through software, They demand us to see it all the time. Well, that's a big problem with your safety and security. So getting another phone could be a way to do it if you could do it safely. We actually have go bags disguised as something else, and inside the go bag is a preloaded phone with contacts, safety apps, and other things where we sneak it to them through this disguised way. I don't want to give it, I don't want to go too much.
Yeah. We
but
don't want to give them all the details, but Nick has a lot of neat things that they use to help keep people safe. I definitely want to get into the safe pepper spray and all that. But if they're leaving their relationships, like someone just said, I'm so glad for this session. We were denied our restraining order, and me and the children are in fear of ourselves. So
yeah, so you get the restraining order. He leaves. He gets arrested and told don't go back or whatever. So now you're scared. Day one, first thing, all right, you can Amazon something the next day, it won't get there. So, like, all right, so what can I do right now? I mean, I mentioned earlier about the chairs up against the doors. Just look around your house. How can, and start thinking before I can get anything, how do I secure the house right now? So, think of your house as a chessboard that you get to control. You get to control how that chessboard is. You get to line the pieces up however you want. Not you start thinking that way. Start thinking win at all costs. I get to do whatever I want. Forget about the way things look. Forget about anything else. I get to do whatever I want to keep this house safe. So you start positioning furniture. You start putting things in places to barricade if you have to. Go over a quick escape plan. How do I bail out? Do I get out the window, the second floor window? Is there a place to jump? Once I jump, where do I go? What do I do? Kids are obviously a big part of that. If you've got 5 kids, 6 kids, you're not escaping. You're just not. You're not going to. I doubt you're going to be able to get unless the house is
out.
That's tough to do. So you got to start factoring that in. Do I escape, or do I barricade and call the police? So you start coming up with a safety plan. And a lot of times people think, oh, I'm going to escape. My neighbor's great. They know about this situation. I'm going to run next door and bang on the door and they're going to let me in. The problem is a lot of times, if people are banging on your door at 3 o'clock in the morning, they're not going to answer it. And if they do, they're going to be very cautious. Like, oh my God, what's that? They're going to be very, very cautious about opening the door. So if you have a place to go, you got to make sure that you have easy, quick access into it. We had a terrible case here in New Jersey where the woman did just that and ran to our neighbor's house. They knew that she was scared of this guy. It was late, it was around midnight, and they heard banging. They woke up, they were upstairs. They didn't know what to think. By the time they carefully were making it downstairs, trying to see what was happening, he had easily caught up to her and shot her dead on the neighbor's porch. So
just devastating.
Yeah, it was awful. It was hard to read. That's why I'm a, if you're gonna have that plan, you got to have the ability to get in quick. Because if they're right behind you, you're better off to just keep going. If your plan is to escape. So if you got a drill and some wood, just start drilling things. Just for the night until you get some better measures in. Do whatever you have to do and stop. Don't think about the way things appear, the way things look. You've got one loyalty at that point. To you and your kids' safety, and that's it.
That's your life. Yep, absolutely.
That is the only thing you're concerned about at that exact time. That and your health, if you've been attacked. So you can start by taking the screws out of your doors, your exterior doors, where the door jambs are. Those are real flimsy. I mean, they're tiny. If you have screws, longer screws, you replace them with the longer screws. And if you don't know what I'm talking about,
you're about to show us, aren't you?
So every house has them. This is an interior door, but they're a little bit bigger and thicker on the outside. But these are what you want to replace. Okay. One of the first things I do when I move into a house, which isn't that often, but we did just move, is I replace those right off the bat because when you drill those out the first time, you'll see they're always tiny. And what that does, if someone's kicking in the door, it easily rips the door jamb right out and they can get in. By replacing it with longer screws, it makes it a lot more difficult. They can still do it if they keep hitting, but it's going to buy you that precious time to call the police, escape, barricade, fight. Fighting is another option. And people never want to talk about fighting because, they think like, well, I don't want to fight if I don't have to.
Right. Right. But I fight for my life though.
Yeah. If somebody put, big guy MMA fighter in a room and and put a petite female and said, okay, well, who are you going to bet on to win? Most people would bet on the guy to win. Okay, well, because you got to get out of this mindset of it's a me versus him, just with rules and ethics and all that, and start stacking the deck in your favor. Okay, well, what do I do to survive this? And how can I stack the deck in my favor? Where if he does get in, he does breach, what can I do? You can get items that will help protect yourself that you can use. And people always ask, "Oh, I sleep with a knife under my bed." I get that a lot. I'm like, okay, well, it's good. You have a weapon just in case, but if that knife, if you lose retention of it, there's now a knife in the fight.
Yes, there is.
An angry, stronger man who might have access to it. Guns. Guns are great for self. I mean, obviously, a big, strong person's coming in with a knife or a gun too, and they're trying to kill you. And you're a lot stronger than you and a lot bigger than you, and they're aggressive. A gun is a great equalizer. But can you access your gun, point it at a living, breathing human being who you may have once loved, shared a bed with, could be the father of your children. So can you point that gun up close? That's a whole nother set of challenges. The closer you are to a human being target, the harder it is to pull the trigger. And we haven't even talked about somebody who you once loved.
Yeah.
Can you do it? Point the weapon and shoot this. And if you can't, if there's any doubt, if there's any hesitation, the gun's going to be used against you. So, are guns the best option? So, I'm not saying they are. I'm not saying they're not. I'm just saying people have to consider everything. Can I do that? Can I?
And the best option for them too, because if you don't think you'll be able to use that as self-defense, that may not be the defense tool for you.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I know that there is something like a smart pepper spray as well. Is that right?
Yeah. So you got to be kind of self-aware of what you're capable of.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got pepper spray where you shoot it. It's pretty nasty stuff. I tested it on myself once. You spray it. It emits a loud siren. It's real nasty. Shoots about 20 feet. And
wow.
Yeah, you can hook it up to there's a Bluetooth option where it connects to your phone and can send out a signal to your contacts that you're in danger, and it gives out your exact location. So
that's really neat. That's really cool.
Yeah, I'm a big fan. With our clients, we give it to all of our clients, and we do the training. We give them the fake pepper spray, and we actually have them practice it. And we've noticed one of the biggest, I would say, when it comes to pepper spray training, you can ask the audience right now, the people who are listening, who here has pepper spray? I bet you a lot of them do. Oh, I've got it on my keychain. Then ask them how old it is.
I've got a pepper spray that's so old, Nick. It's like the oldest ever.
You could put it on your food now at this point.
At this point, it probably flavored my food. Yeah, it's old.
And
so what are you going to say? That's really bad?
That's really bad.
Oh, okay. Okay.
That's really bad. You want, you should replace it every 2 to 3 years. And we have one client, somebody gave her a pepper spray. Oh, cool. Put it on her keychain. Never touched it again. Buried it. It was on the bottom of her purse. She got assaulted by her stalker. She couldn't even get to it in time, and he hit her. He assaulted her pretty violently in the parking lot. She couldn't get to it. So I ask everybody watching right now, if you have pepper spray, where is it right now? Can you get it in 2 seconds?
No.
You know,
No, Nick. No. Okay, I'm guilty. I can't. Shoot. Okay.
I mean, like we're home. You know,
Yeah.
it still should be
Yeah.
even.
Accessible.
Yeah, it's just draw. Even if you know, like, oh, it's ridiculous, no one's coming, but it's also reminding you that I need to be able to get to it. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
kind of, you know, you're coming home at night. I do it. I have it either in my hand or I have it close by where I can easily access it, along with other things that I have. Um, because if you can't access it, if you don't, if you've never practiced with it,
No.
you know, and then they get such a loyalty to it, like, oh no, I must use pepper spray, and while they're fiddling around with it, they've closed the gap and they've gotten within when you probably were just better off. Can't find it, you know, screw it, run.
Okay.
Um, Another time is when they shoot the pepper spray, they do it in just like a little quick, you know, psst. If you're going to spray once, you might as well empty the bottle.
Okay.
A little
No
work,
need to save it. Save your life instead.
exactly. You're, you know, shoot it like you're getting paid per ounce to shoot it.
Mm.
Uh, Throw off through OODA loop, aim. If you're going to miss, I'd rather you miss high. The odds are they're going to be doing something like this. If you hit here, it's going to you know, the front part of the crown here, it's going to eventually start seeping down. Um, Not ideal because you won't make that immediate impact, but if you can get that pepper spray all over their head, it should eventually make its way into their face, eyes, throws them off just a little bit. People say like, "Oh, it's going to make them angrier." Like, really, they're coming to assault you. I don't know how much angrier they're going to get.
Mm.
What is the option? To let them? You know, you're past the point of de-escalation. You know, this is them coming at you to assault you. And if you do wind up on the ground and you're fighting, at least if you've got that, if you got pepper spray leaking all over the place, you can just take your hands and just you know, try to get free if you can. Again, I'm going to be trying to grab your hands, get your hand up in the head and smear it into their eyes. You know, do that. You're hoping you cause enough discomfort,
Yeah.
depending on the person and the reaction to it, where they now are a little bit less focused on you, allows you just enough to get out of there and get to safety.
Mm.
And that's what it's designed to do.
You know, Nick, I'm glad that you said in the beginning, you're like, people think that planning is like victim blaming or no, what we want you to do is be aware of what to do because we know statistics are huge. How many women die a day from domestic violence? How many people are injured severely as a result of it? So our goal is to make sure you're equipped.
Yeah. And that's the only loyalty I have, um, to people's safety, to my safety, my family's safety, client safety. That's my goal. That's the loyalty. Everything else, uh, I have the luxury, I guess, of not really worrying about. But if you are, we teach our kids to look both ways when they cross the
Right.
street, you know.
Right.
But if they get hit by a car, they don't look, and they get hit by a car. Is it their fault? No.
Right.
They get hit by a drunk driver. Is it their fault? No, it's the drunk driver's fault.
Right.
But could looking both ways have
Helped
prevent?
or saved them. Yeah.
Of course, and
Yeah.
you don't yell at them for that. You just say, "Look, next time, you gotta you gotta do this." But again, they shouldn't be driving drunk. You keep it focused on the offender.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's so important that we know how to protect ourselves in any situation. We know how to protect ourselves because when you're living with your abuser, you're in so much fear. But when you leave, that fear doesn't necessarily go away because you're gone, because we know statistics are it's more dangerous when they leave.
Yeah, especially,
So I know one time we talked about how like reversing in the driveway was actually something that was. So tell us a little bit about that. Something as simple as that.
so you know your biggest. I would say when you're probably the most vulnerable is from your car to your house. You know, sometimes car house to the car, but definitely car to the house. We've had you know, there's been a few cases that I've studied. You know, I do a lot of after action, a lot of studying and reading of homicides that involve former intimate partners,
Okay.
stalkers, and a lot of them have very common themes, predictable patterns where they know you're going to get home. They have a spot to hide somewhere. It's, you know, they wait for you to get home and they attack you when you exit that car. You know, think how
Mm.
vulnerable you are when you leave the car. Now add you got kids, just think how exposed you are. Um, you're trying to go into a locked house. Maybe you got a kid. Maybe you got groceries. You're not. You're tired. You're on. You know. You're on your phone. When you're on your phone, you lose all situational awareness. So,
Mm.
okay, well, how do I stack the deck in my favor? You can put exterior lights around your house. They're actually pretty cheap. You can get them on Amazon. We use the ones that we use are like $24 a piece. AA batteries. They last forever. They're motion lights. I can provide the link for you.
Okay, that would be awesome.
Yeah, and because I like them because they're relatively cheap. So you light up the house. Cameras are great. Before you get home, you can check an exterior camera. You can get cheaper cameras. You check it. You just make sure no one's hanging around. You have a neighbor that you trust. Call them up and say, "Hey, it's me. I'm coming home. If you take a quick peek out your window, just make sure this person isn't hanging around." Some people are able to call the cops if it's that in an extreme situation. Like, look, I know you're busy. I'm in fear for my life. Don't be afraid to say that. People like to say that guys don't say that. I think women really don't say that unless you get it out of them. Because everybody's afraid of appearing weak.
Mm.
Everybody likes to say men do it. A lot of women do it too.
Mm.
Especially they have families. I don't want to say that, but look, if you're in fear for your life, tell the cops like I'm afraid he's going to do X, Y, Z. I'll wait for you. I'll wait for the schedule to line up. But can somebody just? I mean, this is all I'm asking. Like when I get home, I'll stay in contact with you. I pull up, just drive by, watch me go into the house, and that's it. That's all I'm asking.
Yeah, yeah,
And departments will do that.
yeah.
If you're nice to them and you're communicating it and you work with their schedule, even if it means you waiting down the street at a Dunkin' Donuts. I mean, the cops will probably be there, but you want
I
to
think
wait.
that's a good point too. Like they're not going to necessarily come on demand, but if you let them know, hey, trying to work around their schedule, they're more likely to may be available.
Yeah, and it's how and it stinks living this way. Everything's just
Yeah,
slow.
it does. We're
Everything.
not saying this is a beautiful way to live. We're just saying we want you to stay alive and be protected. And so maybe there's some steps that you have to take in order to do so. And hopefully you won't have to do them for very long or forever, but long enough to stay safe. And that's the most important thing.
Yep, just each day. Each day's a victory. Eventually, the hope is they lose motivation. Um,
Yeah.
they're sentenced to a long prison term if that's what it is. That's
So
just
Nick, tell us something about some of the cases that you may have had where you had to intervene or do some type of action or tools that have been able to help survivors stay safe.
So we do the layered security. What we want to do is keep the abuser back and away. One of the things we do is we put in these cameras. It says human tracking. They rotate, they spin, and they also have an alarm on them if they sense a person coming. The cameras themselves will make a siren. They'll notify the phone. We can even input the image of the face into the app of the abuser, and the camera will recognize, has facial recognition, and sound the alarm when they're in the area.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
yeah,
That is neat. I just put it in the comment section, the human tracking camera. Is that what it's called?
yeah, and I can get
Wow.
you go on Amazon. It's PTZ camera, pan built pan built, and it's eluding me right now.
That's okay. We can come back and put it in the comments
Yeah,
later. But human tracking camera, and I think it's really neat that you could put their face in there and it could recognize it.
yeah, it's technology, so it's gonna fail. You got masks, it's night.
Yeah, especially now. Yeah.
But why not? There's a little extra something, and you'll get an alert. Um, and then sometimes, like at my house, for example, I put in these. I also pair it with these motion sensors, and
Mm.
even though the camera itself's got a motion sensor, that one attaches to a. It's hooked up to a little sound box that just makes a little chime. So my wife and I, when we hear a chime, we live out in the woods. You know, no one's coming into my house. You're not getting within like 100 feet, 200 feet. Is they're probably the closest you can possibly get without us knowing. We got the lights, the motion sensors. We hear it go off. We check the cameras. So that's our first layer.
Mm-hmm.
If it's something going on, if there's some bad guy coming, just like with them, now you implement your safety plan, your security plan. And for the clients that we help now, their house themselves. We've got sensors on the windows. Again, you can get pretty easy, pretty cheap, do-it-yourself alarms. Um, like right here. I mean, this is $1.
Oh.
$1. You put it on your window. You turn it on. It has an on and off switch. It's got stickers. You just peel it off. You put it on a window or door.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's pretty loud.
Yeah.
We've got door bars again, and this is all relatively cheap stuff. And I already mentioned about the screws for the door themselves. To keep that locked shut. We've got door stop alarms that you can put underneath the door. I have it upstairs and I should have brought it down with me, but I use it. What it does is it stops the door from being opened, like a wedge, like the old school wedges and
what's it called? A door stopper?
Door stop alarm. Put that in Amazon, door stop alarm. It's $7 to $10.
Okay. I'm just putting what you're describing into the comments so people can come back and go back and look at it and look it up for themselves. So somebody said, where can you get those? Okay, let's talk about the dollar. Where did you get that alarm for the windows? I mean, that's a great price for.
Well, I got that from overseas.
Oh, okay.
Overseas. But Amazon, you can get the same type of ones, and they even have like a little chime feature if the door opens.
Okay.
About $4 to $5 a piece. You just type in door/window alarm. GE has those on Amazon, and
so Amazon, of course, any of the local hardware stores, I'm sure, but I'm putting them down in the comments so you guys can kind of take a look at them and go back and look up some of the stuff. You said a door stopper as well, right?
Yeah.
Door stop alarm. Okay.
And even like Lowe's and Home Depot have a lot of this stuff too, hardware type stores.
Okay.
I got these door security bars. You prop them up against the door. I like the real thick, robust ones. I want heavy duty. There's flimsier ones, and they're okay, but I'd rather go with. So this one was $21. That goes underneath the doorknob. That part on the floor, about a 45-degree angle. You make sure that the bottom is really wedged in there. You got to kick it. Use your boot. Use your shoe. Don't use your bare foot. Get it really wedged in there good. And it really does a good job with that door, keeping it shut. Then test it out. Make sure the door's unlocked. Try to open the door. Door shouldn't move at all. We do this for our clients. We get it in there. Door doesn't move an inch, and that's not. And we don't even lock the door yet.
Wow.
And then we lock it.
I mean, that looks pretty solid and sturdy. To be honest, that looks solid.
Yeah, it is pretty solid. This thing could take a beating. I actually got to experiment. I always test the stuff out.
That's awesome.
So this held up really well. I mean, it took a bunch of. I was shouldering this one door. Don't ask. No, not in my own house. And well, my wife is very, very patient.
God bless her.
Oh, she'll come home, see me doing something that other wives will be like, "Oh my, what?" She'll be like, "Oh, okay." I guess that's happening now. And,
someone said, "Can we see it from further away? Can you pull it back a little bit?" Yeah, Pilar, we got you. Okay. And you extended it, so it extends as well. Okay.
Yeah, on the door. Just I can't get it to lock. There we go.
45-degree angle.
Yep, 45-degree angle. When in doubt, just simply test it. Okay. Get it underneath the door. Really wedge this in, and then try to open the door up a little bit. The door shouldn't really move more than not even a quarter of an inch. Anything more than that, then you have to readjust the size. Either get the bottom farther away or closer. You don't want it too much of a acute angle. I'm very proud of myself that I remembered that. Because if it's too close, it can snap.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
So
did you tell me the name of that already? I wonder if I put that in the comments. Was that a door jam?
So you can just type in door security bar.
Okay. So I had another question in the comments. And you guys, if you have questions for Nick, please feel free to put them in the comments. We'll do our best to try to answer them. Door security bar. Someone said an Arcadia door. What about they can break the glass?
So they do sell glass breakers that you can get, or vibration alarms. Again, Amazon, type in door alarm. That's simple. We have one where you can turn on the vibration. They hit the glass, the alarm goes off. If it's a glass door, I mean, there's nothing to really prevent them from getting in. In really extreme cases, I've actually taken plywood and just drilled into the door.
Yeah,
because
do what you got to do.
Yeah, I mean, the focus had to be on, it was that an extreme case where, and they didn't care. They were like, just do it. We had to keep them out at all costs. But if you're afraid that the door, they're going to break the glass and open the door, that's why I like the door stop alarms, because they're small and they're on the floor. So they might not see them. So if they break the glass and open up the door, the alarms are going to go off and the door will be stopped from opening. So before they realize what's happening, the sirens are going off. They're making all kinds of noise. All this stuff are just obstacles. That's all it is. That's where a lot of these security companies fail. Is they, here's ADT system, cool, you're protected. Okay, well, you've got alert. You're alerted that somebody's in your house now. The door alarm went off. Now what?
Right. There's layers to this thing. There's layers to this.
Exactly. Are you banking on that alarm? Although it has happened, but are you banking on that siren driving them away? You got to implement that safety plan. If you have an iPhone, you can use Siri. Make sure that Siri works on a locked phone. Test it out. Put it in airplane mode first. Put it in airplane mode and lock your screen. If you don't know, go to settings, set up Siri, and say, "Hey Siri, call 9." I don't want to do it because I have phone. But hey Siri, call. This way you can shout it across the room. Put your phone someplace where you can get to it. Same spot every night. That's why I like the panic alarm things too that we do. If you've got an Android, it's got, they have Google Voice. Almost every phone has some kind of voice activated, because you could do that while you're doing other things, getting the kids, locking, barricading, opening a window to escape.
Okay. Yeah.
And people are thinking, well, how do I remember all this? Like, well, easy. Before you go to bed, you check the gas stove, you check, the windows if they're locked, and it's just part of your process. Okay, now if this happens, I'm gonna do X, Y, Z. Women,
and it's part of safety planning. It's part of what you do to stay safe. And I mean, even if you haven't been in an abusive relationship, you still lock your doors, you still lock your car door, you still put your alarm on. It's even more so after being in an abusive relationship. But Nick, I have a couple questions. So Cynthia, I did not forget about you. Do you have anyone that does anything similar to this in Las Vegas? So I don't know if you have anybody in Las Vegas. Let us know, Cynthia. Please inbox us, and we'll have Nick fish his brain to see.
I do have some really. I've got a former Marine sniper friend in Las Vegas who wants to help. So,
well, there's the answer to your question, Cynthia.
I could ask if he needs help.
And let me put Nick's. Well, you see his Facebook information here for every year Overwatch as well. So if you need to connect with them, please do. Ellen, there are layers to this thing. It's not just the alarm. Once the alarm goes off, they're still in the house. And then what? Like, there's steps to this. You still have to be able to protect yourself. So we have another question, Nick. What plan do you put in place when they do get in? Yeah, that's okay. So let's talk about that, because that's the layers. You just gave some. Lock yourself in a room or what? That was the question.
So what depends. So like I said earlier, your house is your chessboard that you get to set up however you want to set it up. So what I would like everyone to do who's watching, you don't do it now, but maybe tomorrow, sketch out your house and the surrounding area, the street. If you live in a rural area, sketch it out. 1 story, 2 story, and then start thinking, how can somebody who's bad, whether it be domestic violence, home invasion, whatever, how can they get into my house? What would they do? Take a walk around your house, and then work outside in. And then you come up with that plan. Okay, now once they're in the house, what do I do? Every situation is different. Every situation. Okay, such a cliche thing to say. Oh, he's dodging the question, but
It is different.
so at my house, for example, I'm gonna know you're coming from pretty far away. There's so many different layers. I don't bank on that. If I wake up in the middle of the night and there's somebody walking, running up the stairs, my dog's barking, I'm not gonna say, "What happened to the camera?"
You're not. You're not, Nick. You're
Yeah.
not.
So, but I'm pretty confident in the measures that we have. So my safety plan, and I talk about this with my wife. We'll be at Fridays talking about what do we do, and people are over looking at us like, "Oh my god," and um, we got the kids to worry about. So you say, they come in. I've got guns. I'm a gun guy. I'm confident that I can access my guns. I've got places of opportunity, to be safe, have a nice wide field of view where they can't really see me, and it doesn't. If there's a God forbid some kind of exchange of gunfire, there's no threat to my children getting hit because of where they're sleeping and where they're at. It's terrible to think about this stuff. It's
Yeah. Yeah.
awful, and
Yeah.
it's easier for me because I don't have a person in mind when I'm thinking about it, and a lot of these women do. So they start getting anxiety, but you try to work through it, and if it's too much for you, you stop. So you ask yourself, do I have a weapon? Am I confident with that weapon to use? If all right, I don't like guns. I'm never going to have a gun. Okay, cool. So what's down from that? We could do the pepper spray. What about a lot of it? Can you saturate a hallway with pepper spray? Make it extremely difficult for they do break in. Let's say they're banging on the door, they're trying to get in, the door bar is about to give, the alarms are going off. You've called the police, you got on your phone real quick. You've done that, you've done all that, and cops are coming, but they're about to get in. Okay, well, how can I make this more difficult for him? You know, I've already done this. If you're on a second floor, why not set up things near the staircase that you can simply push down the staircase to clog it up, make it hard. Then just spray pepper spray down the staircase, down the ceiling of it. He does come in. It's gonna cause him. He's coughing.
Delay.
Then you get into your room, you barricade that door, and then maybe you got your kids and you're escaping out the window. You don't have kids. One story, he's coming in to kill you. All right, can you get to if you can't barricade, because interior doors are pretty flimsy. Is there a hiding spot? I'm not that I'm the biggest fan of hiding, but everyone's different. If you're not mobile, you can't move. You're not going to fight. Can you carve out a secret hiding spot somewhere in the house? And I bet you could if you get creative enough. A spot to actually hide while the police are coming. Can you get to an angle? Can you take an angle somewhat, somewhere, and they're in and ambush them with a knife, bat, something like that? If you're confident, you got to be very self-aware if you're going to use something like this to defend yourself. You got to be extremely self-aware. But what else are you going to do though if everything else is failing and he's inside the house and the cops aren't there yet? You've got nowhere to hide, nowhere to escape. What else are your options? So if you are going to make the decision to fight, you're not going to stand there in the middle of the hallway and say, "All right, come at me." Give you an idea of what I'm talking about. If he's going down the hall towards the door. Actually, I'll do this even better. I don't want to stand out in the hallway. I want to take an angle somewhere over here, as he's trying to come in and surprise him at a 45-degree, almost 90-degree angle, with something, overwhelm the OODA loop. OODA loop is just them processing information and reacting. So in other words, cheat, win at all costs. If you find yourself in a fair fight for your life, then your planning beforehand was inadequate.
Yeah.
Don't fight fair. You're worth not fighting fair.
Yeah.
Uh,
Your life is worth more than that. And
yeah,
yeah, fine. I have a question for you, and I know we talked about the glass doors, but what about sliding glass doors? If they instead they're not going to break it, but maybe if they were just trying to get in it. Besides, like sticking something down at the bottom, is there anything else that they can put to secure that?
you could put the vibration sensor on them as well.
Okay.
Put something where they don't open. You know, the the wooden blocks. You could drill a little dresser handle into it. For easy
Okay.
pickup. Uh,
Mhm.
there's a lot of things that you can do to rig things up. I know booby traps are illegal, but you're not putting things up to harm them, but you can put other things in place to make it more difficult for them to come. So when it comes to, so let's say you got a sliding glass door, and I'm just bringing this up as an example of how I would love for people to start thinking, because this is all mindset. I can't go over every possible course of action. I can only talk about mindset and teach basic stuff. Then it's up to the people learning, take that and apply it anywhere. But if, let's say I got a sliding back door, put the kitchen table up against it, put other things up against it, put the kids' toys up against it, put, a dresser, like, well, I use it every day. I do this. Well, put things, put the wooden plank there, lock it, put the sensor up, then put other stuff there. Um, so they do get in. Now they're making all kinds of noise. They're fighting through everything.
Yeah.
They're
You know,
looking through. They might be less likely to try that method.
You know what I like about this? Even like you said, you can't prepare from every angle. You're giving real life scenarios, real good things that people can use to protect themselves. And that's what we want. We see too many people dying at the hand of their abuser, especially after they leave. And I think you made a really good point earlier when you talked about our routines, because they know our routines. They know where we work. They know where we go to church. They know where the kids go to school. And so it's important that even those things change.
Yeah, and not everybody can change them.
Yeah, nope, not even. Nope. You have to go to work. You think, well, I have to go to work. What else am I going to do?
Yeah, so you got to start. So again, I want everybody to make their own safety plan.
Absolutely.
I have our clients do that. They always say, "Well, you're the expert. You're the expert." I'm like, I'm the expert on your life. I don't think so.
Yeah.
I'm
Nope.
going to help
Nope.
you. We're going to go over some things, but your house, your routine, what he's capable of. Um, so if you know that, hey, all right, I can't change my routine. You start listing the pie in the sky, greatest security thing that you can do. Well, can't change my routine, can't get a new job. That's not happening. All right, so what else can I do? Could you have somebody walk you to your car each night from your job? Can you ask your boss to, you know, make your schedule a little bit different? Um, could you have an Uber take you from your office to your car, even if it's not that far away?
Yeah.
Uh,
That's good. That's good, Nick.
yeah, just start going down like a list. What is, start up high? What is, dare to dream, and then all right, cross that off, not realistic, and start working your way down
Yeah.
to where something is just different. And if all it is like, you know what, I can't get anybody can't get a new job, can't change my schedule, can't do anything. I still have to walk to my car. My car has to. The company makes me park over here. They won't budge for whatever weird, stupid reason. Um, try to park someplace different. All right, fine. I'm going to walk to the car, my pepper spray in my hand. I'm going to stay off my phone. Um, and I'm going to be a little bit different on the way I approach my car. I'm going to take a little bit different path. Even though he knows where my car is, he sees me walking someplace else. What is she doing? And then I take an angle back. And if somebody is following you and you don't know who, if you're taking some weird random approach to your car and they're still following you, that's not a coincidence.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you do things like right before you get into the car, you unlock the car door, you get in immediately. I mean, just a habit. You get in, close the door, lock the door. I mean, some people think, well, I've got an automatic lock when I drive away. Like, no. I mean, you lock the door the second the car's not even on yet. Door shuts, lock. I'm
Lock
like,
the door.
I can't. You start doing this kind of stuff every day. It only takes a couple of weeks before it's just a habit. You don't
I
even.
haven't. Yeah.
You stay off your phone. You put the keys in the ignition or whatever, and you just simply drive away. And then you watch, make sure you're not getting followed. And then if you got the cameras, you, maybe at a light, you check the camera, you make sure no one's outside your house, whatever. If you can back into your spot, do it. Backing in, everybody says, "Oh, back in, back in," but they don't expand on that. It's kind of an overrated tactic, to be honest. It's all it really is that you always just want to give yourself an escape route. That's it. Just give yourself an escape route. That principle can be applied anywhere. If somebody's chasing you, you don't run into the kitchen or the bathroom. You run into a place where you can potentially have an escape route. So that's why I say back in, because easier escape route. We helped out a client one time where she was able to pull in, but her backyard was somebody else's backyard, and you kept going to the left, there was a driveway. So she had an escape route. So somebody who doesn't really understand that principle will just say, "Oh, back in, back in." Meanwhile, she's going down some narrow driveway and hitting things. And so what I do is, and I do it, you pull in, you just do a quick look around. That's it. You have an escape route. I leave it and drive. I look, all right, no one's around. Park, make sure I have everything on me that I'm going to take with me. I don't want to be getting out. I don't want to turn my back, going through, whatever. All right, I'm cool. I'm ready to dismount my vehicle now. Doesn't have to be that dramatic. You know, put phone in your pocket. You're not looking at it. You turn the car off. You open up the door, and you got maybe your pepper spray in your hand, and you just simply walk to your house. Opening up the door, I know a lot of our clients, they're doing this. They're scanning behind them. I was like, well, you know what you're doing when you're constantly doing this while trying to get your keys is you're delaying your
entry.
You cannot, and I can't stress this enough, you cannot see 360 degrees of security around you 24/7. It's impossible. So what you start doing is kind of stacking the deck, game the system, whatever you want to call it. Where it's probable, I'm looking around. All right, I don't see anybody. I'm going to simply get the keys out and go inside. I'm not going to look. Yeah, my back is to the world. Okay, but I got to put my keys in my door and get in. When you go into the house, though, you're also very vulnerable. The second you open that door, if they were hiding somewhere, that's a prime opportunity for them to come out of nowhere, push you into the house. Now it's just you and him inside this house without people being able to see it. So you got to be cautious of that when you go into the house at that moment. But again, if you're walking around like this, you're going to be outside for longer.
Yeah. All of this preparation is high anxiety, but I know the clients that you deal with are experiencing that anyway. But I think overall the goal is safety.
Yeah. And I tell them we want them to do their own safety planning with us helping them. We have them do the sketches. We have them do that. And there's always going to be that risk where they start playing this what if game and they start imagining, because when you're doing safety planning, you're imagining things.
Yeah.
And right after an attack, that could be really bad. So as important as it is to do, if it's causing that much anxiety for you, you have to stop. You just have to, lock the house up, stay inside, and relax if you have to. But if your safety planning is getting in the way of your mental well-being, you have to stop. You have to. What else can you do? You keep pushing and you have an anxiety attack. Having said that, do the pep talk to yourself. Have somebody help you. Maybe do it during the day with other people, a support system. Know that it's important. And it's also empowering once you do one.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I like that. It's important, but it's also empowering because you're attempting to take your own safety into your own hands. And so does that mean, like you said, find your mace, put your mace on your keychain, have it available? I know you said about our phones that we're so vulnerable because we're not aware of our surroundings when we're on our phones.
Yeah, the phones are the enemy.
Completely distracted.
It's unreal how much situational awareness you lose. We don't even, and I do it. We're all guilty of it. That's nothing new. Years ago, women were doing checkbooks in the food parking lot, and they were getting assaulted. It's nothing new. It's just another distraction. But they really, really do distract. They are bad. You will not know what's going on around you. You you might think somebody could sneak right up next to you. I've done it
Yeah,
to people just to show them, you know.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um,
And especially those that are survivors of domestic violence, you have to be aware. And I mean, even in the relationship, they show up at our job, they show up I mean, all these different things. So even more so now that you've chosen to leave the relationship, you're at heightened risk. But I don't know if anybody had any other questions. I've kept Nick longer than an hour. Nick, is there anything else you wanted to share or say to those that are watching?
so safety planning is important. Start doing it. It can be empowering. I know some people write it down and they put it on like the refrigerator or whatever. Um, but understand that if you are too vigilant, you are going to eventually lose your awareness. The body and mind cannot take that much. It just can't. So, real quick, in the military, it was called Cooper's color codes. Um, if I'm home, so I don't want to use the word normal person because that's not right, but somebody who isn't facing, isn't struggling with anxiety or fear. If I'm home, I'm in what's called condition white. Maybe I got like a beer, glass of wine, hanging out with my wife, watching a movie. Doors are locked, cameras are on, whatever. Um, we're in condition white. But all of a sudden, motion goes off. Now I'm in what's called condition
Oh,
color.
hold on. Wait, hold on, Nick. Hold on. Can you hear me? It's
Mm-hmm.
breaking up a little bit. And I love and I love
Sorry.
it. So tell us about the no, it's okay. It's breaking up a little bit. And so I was like, no. Okay.
So
Can you
yeah,
tell us? Okay, so code white. We're in the house, glass of wine, relaxing.
yeah, and again, you got your windows are locked. Your alarms are on that you got. Your measures are in place, but okay, you know, that's it. And then you're not going to think about it. You're going to enjoy this movie. Motion sensor goes off. Now maybe you're in condition yellow. You check the camera. Maybe you see a figure. Then you see something that, all right, this could be somebody bad. Now you go from yellow to amber. Now you're up at this point. You're going to get your self defense tool. You got your phone in your hand, about to call the cops. You're trying to get to safety, maybe, get the kids, whatever. Now this person is pounding on your door and trying to break in. And they get in. Now you go from amber to red. Condition red is tunnel vision. Heart rate is through the roof. Not all tunnel vision is bad. If this person is attacking me, I don't need to be aware of my surroundings that much. I mean, I do because I need to like an escape route and all that. But um, so condition red is actually a good thing. It's a good thing. It helps you fight, flight, all of that. Just sends a ton of adrenaline to your body to do these things. It keeps you focused. Condition black is when it's so bad that you freeze. You're indecisive.
Okay.
So you want to be condition red at certain times. The problem is a lot of these women, I say women, but anybody really dealing with this threat is that they're living their life in red or amber, and you simply cannot function that way. You're going to actually make yourself unsafe. You're actually putting, besides your mental health, which is really important, obviously. Besides the anxiety attacks that are going to happen, the stress, the complete lack of quality of life, you're actually making yourself less safe in the long run because you'll just eventually your defense mechanism will be, you know what, if he's going to kill me, he's going to kill me. And you hear that a lot. I can't control it. It's like your own way of controlling the situation because you're just so on edge. You just can't do it anymore. So it's easier said than done. But maybe remembering the color codes and understanding the functional reason behind them. Um,
You said is it Cooper's color code? Hey, Nicole. So is it Cooper's color code?
Cooper's color codes, yeah. Uh,
Okay.
you could possibly pep talk yourself down. Again, easier said than done, but if you can remind yourself what the benefits are.
I mean, it's no good. You can't live in that heightened state of anxiety all the time. Physically, we get sick. Mentally and emotionally, it wrecks us. It's not a good place to be. So I think that's some really good advice to try to keep ourselves at a certain level so that when we can move up in the codes and completely be aware. But if we're always at this place, we're limiting our ability to move from there to anywhere.
Yeah, I don't, when I'm walking, I'm not, if there's a group of nuns walking towards me, I'm not scanning them for weapons. I'm just not. People are
Yeah.
like, you should always be aware. No, you shouldn't.
Yeah.
No, you shouldn't.
Yeah.
And people are like, you can't say that. I absolutely will. I'm not aware right now. There's nobody going to come and,
Yeah.
So you have to really try to train. You can condition. It's more about conditioning your mind and developing a habit than it is learning it.
Mm.
So
Yeah, I think so too. Like even the things that you talked about coming in the house and doing, create it as a habit. You bathe the kids, you put them to bed, you go to bed, you have a glass of wine, whatever it is, create it as a habit. So it's not something that's necessarily done out of fear and anxiety, but as a sense of protection.
exactly.
Someone asked, I just lost it. And I think you answered this question a little bit. What are 3 things that you recommend for the exterior of your home? And so I want to answer this question real quick, even though it wasn't asked to me. You said the lights outside of the house.
Yep.
You can get from Amazon. You said cameras.
Yeah.
And I like that camera that you showed just now.
Yeah. And a
And
motion
then
sensor.
motion sensor.
And
Okay.
to keep the motion sensor just real quick, you got to make sure you get one that you can adjust the sensitivity. If you can't, maybe get some duct tape to cover a lot of the motion part of it, because if it's too sensitive, it's picking up every leaf that blows or branch that's shaking in the wind. You're going to eventually stop paying attention to it. So the placement of the motion sensor, I like to actually narrow the area, like a funnel, like a high traffic type area where I know when it goes off, there's like 80-90% chance it's an actual person.
Okay.
There's this thing is 100%. Last night our motion went off at 3:00 in the morning. I'm like, and it was the wind blew a bunch of leaves and it just went off. But we try to put it up high at an angle, limit the view, everything. No, I want like 1,000 feet, and that's going to constantly go off. So when it comes to motion sensors, make sure you're doing it where the false alarms are only like 10-15%. But those 3 things,
Right.
Those 3 things are definitely.
So they said, so not motion sensor lights?
Oh yeah, I use the motion lights.
Okay. Okay. So those are good as well.
And you want them from your house facing outboard. You want to blind them.
Right.
You know where they are. You know that they're going to go on. So if you're walking to your house and the motion light's about to come on, don't look at it. Ruins your night vision. Let it illuminate things, but don't look right at it. If somebody is coming up behind you and it goes off, or if you're pulling into your house and you're looking around, you see a light go off. I'll saturate my area with the wireless motion lights. I'll put them all over the place, and not just for places of high traffic area, but hiding spots. So if I'm looking around, I see a light go off, somebody might be out there sneaking around.
Right. Okay. Yeah, Cynthia, thanks for writing those in. Okay, anybody last minute questions? Nick, thank you so much. I love having you on. Such great information, and I love that you're passionate about what you do.
I can go be a bit long-winded because I could talk about this stuff for weeks.
Yes, I love it. And you guys, so they're doing donation yoga. They have like self-defense stuff. They teach you how to like do all this kind of stuff over on their forever your Overwatch page. So just make sure you go. Why are you looking like that, Nick? Are you reading?
Yeah, I was reading something.
I was like, why is he looking like that? Don't you have that? So if you head over to their page, you'll kind of see all of the stuff that they do. If you guys need to connect with Nick and his team, they're doing amazing things. I love that you haven't been a victim. You would just recognize that there was a need and there was a gap, and you guys have thrown yourselves in there to fill it. And you've used your experience, military, all of that experience to really help save lives. And so I love it. Thank you so much for coming back on to share with those that watch this live. They're going to watch the replay. Everyone, they're saying thank you, Nick. Thank you. Thank you for your service.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, guys. All right, we'll see you later. Hey, Nick, don't go anywhere. Hang out, okay?
Okay.
Bye, guys. We'll see you next week. Thank you, Nick, for your family. God bless you and your family and your organization. Somebody said that.
God bless you, too.